The restaurants you love, the food you crave, and the people that make it all happen. We tell their stories on the Paper Trails podcast with Albemarle Paper Supply.
What's going on, guys? How are you? Welcome back to the Paper Trails podcast. I'm Nick Halagiramitros, your host, and we're super excited to have some good friends of mine.
Yes. Scott
and Julie Tang. We been friends for a while, probably.
Oh yeah. High school days. High
school days back in the day. So
20 plus years.
I was gonna say 15, 20 years easy, but we are in Salisbury, North Carolina, and these guys have Tokyo Express and Yummi Banh. Amazing outfits, amazing. Started out with the food truck, and then obviously, we have the brick and mortar locations that we are here. We're actually filming at Tokyo Express, and I'm just super excited to just tell their story, their background. I'll talk about business ownership, entrepreneurship, struggle, victory, and just building a business as a family. I mean, I know you guys. It's a family affair.
Oh, yeah.
The whole family. Your parents started this location.
Yes.
And you guys have taken it over and are adding to it and making tweaks, and it's just exciting to see family businesses passed on to the next generation.
Yeah.
And then making constant improvements, and I know you guys have done such cool stuff.
We're trying.
Yeah, like what was you guys were like on a show or something? I remember a long time ago.
Food Network.
Yeah. I mean, that was cool.
Triple G.
But it's just exciting to have you guys on the podcast and talk about more of your story and just inspire, help people.
Yeah.
With whatever, whether you're in culinary, the food hospitality industry, or you're not. I mean, just the ability to make adjustments, overcome, figure things out. Figuring out how to work together as a partnership. All that comes together in harmony, which takes time.
Absolutely.
And takes, effort and communication and all that. So we're here to learn more about your guys' stories. So why don't we start in the beginning? Let's start, how you guys grew up. I mean, was it in this area? Were you guys born here? How did your families get into the food? Let's start there.
No, the story it goes back. It's got a lot of chapters.
Okay.
But I mean, if you want to go simplicity, just being Vietnamese American, our families came from Vietnam.
Okay.
Essentially, that's our first, nationalities.
Yep.
But we do own, Japanese restaurants, ironically.
Okay.
But being a Vietnamese American, parents came from Vietnam as refugees. We came to Salisbury just by chance.
Okay.
Moved around a lot as kids, my wife and I, not just myself. So, by chance, we ended up here in Salisbury in 2000. My mom and my dad opened up Tokyo Express and, was a instant hit since 2000.
Yep.
But it was a lot of trial and error, though. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of, getting your feet wet and just by experience.
Yeah.
So, and now we're here in Salisbury, 23 years strong here at Tokyo at this location.
Nice.
It snowballed my wife and I into, following my dream of opening up a restaurant as well.
Now, were your parents into food before Tokyo Express?
Oh,
or no?
man.
Was this their first
absolutely.
food venture?
My mom's been a waitress since I've been alive.
Okay,
so I've been in the restaurant business. Not ownership, but just the whole time,
okay,
my whole life.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this is second nature to me. Yeah.
Julie, how about you? Were your family in restaurants or no?
Well, surprisingly, my aunt owns, she used to own a Japanese restaurant down in Concord, right across from Concord Mills. It was called Yama Sushi and Grill.
Okay.
And I pretty much got, family having to get work. It's just a very hard dynamic, like you want to be able to help, but then it's just the pressure is really hard because you're the family. So a lot of it, I had to take a step out because it was just a little hard for me to be able to work with family and keep that family dynamic. But then
100% get it.
We all do.
I totally get that.
We all do.
It's like, for the sake of this relationship,
yes.
Let me just take 4 steps back so we can see each other at Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Ain't that? Yes. That's like a double-edged sword, right?
I totally get it. Okay, but your families do have some roots in hospitality, culinary, the food business. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you guys? So obviously you wanted, Julie did, I guess before you guys meeting, did you ever think about getting into this industry or not really?
I always wanted to own something.
Okay.
now looking back at it, it comes into fruition that this is pretty much my reality is that I am I own restaurants with my husband. And granted, it started out as his dream, and obviously being a partner in life, you want to be able to support. And sometimes the support does mean that you're physically going to have to give up a part of what you want to do to be able to get them onto that launching pad. So once they get to where they need to be, it'll be a little bit easier. So I just knew that it was a little bit of sacrifice on my end to hop on the boat and just be his cheerleader and get him to where we can be able to sustain our family, and then I can venture out and do my own type of stuff.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I guess Yummi Banh Mi, the food truck, was the first, I guess, stepping stone into the. When was that a thought? When did you start thinking? What year was it?
Man.
Was it a while ago? You know, how did you guys even start with that?
2010, we were in a motorcycle accident.
Okay.
Like, it could have been fatal.
Wow.
So that kind of changed our mindset of what we were going to do with like the opportunity that we had of actually living a second chance of life, you know?
Yeah.
So that got real heavy. And that was like, and that's kind of like the pivotal point of us making a decision like, okay, whatever we're doing together, we're going to rock together because we almost died together, you know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it sounds like that was like a pretty pivotal moment in life.
Oh, yeah. But we were still young. I was only 23. She was 19 years old at that time, 2010, in the motorcycle accident. But the food truck started in 2014 as an idea, like kind of like now getting serious, writing it down on our legal papers, you know what I mean? Getting a logo drawn out, just being stupid and doodling stuff, right?
Okay.
And that was in a Vietnamese restaurant, sitting at a table just like we are now eating, and just like, all right, we can do this, let's do this, let's freaking do this, right? So, I mean.
What are some things that you guys learned starting a business from zero? I mean, like you mentioned it, logo, name, type of food, execute. I mean, these are all things that if someone's out here listening and they would like to start a roofing company, a dry cleaners, a landscape, these are things that, you know, I mean, you may not think about, may not think about all of the intricate details that it takes to start. You know, so what are some things that you guys learned starting the food truck?
Well, I mean, you have to have that knowledge first. You can't just go on a whim and think you can just open it. You really have to go and take the initiative to educate yourself a little further than what you think you know. So you need to take that ego out and say, oh, I could do it. Like, do you really got to go? I mean, I bought a book that said, food truck for dummies. Like, you know how dumb that is to go, but, you know,
but
it gave
it's also
you.
smart. I mean, I mean, that's, you know, listen, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I guess being in the industry for 15 years now on the supply side, I see people that take their life savings and start a business, not doing any due diligence. And then 12, 18 months later, it's gone. Like their dream has, because they didn't do the due diligence, they didn't do the homework, they didn't study, and so
it's very true.
I think it's very good advice. Actually,
it is
to take some time and study and look and, you know, look at business bank accounts and look at what it takes, you know, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, you have to go through your, you know, your.
Well, the thing now is that obviously with social media, everything's very accessible, right, at your fingertips. So everybody lives in this false reality that like what they see online is very easy. So you really, like he was saying, you have to take a step back and really take the time to research these things, because nobody teaches you this. They don't really teach you this in school. No, you that's what Google's for. Find out these details because they are very important. You don't want to just go ahead and dump all your money into starting up this business and then now you're stuck because your back end is very important.
I mean,
your
honestly,
administrative side is very important.
See what she's saying? Like, you know, the book smart. You have to be book smart, but you got to be street smart too.
That's true.
Like, how are you going to go out here and conduct business just knowing everything that's taught in a book? You've never been burned before. You never knew how to shift and pivot from these, you know, experiences that you go through, either good or bad, right? And usually, you know, that's what makes or breaks a person, and that's what gives you the leg up, just by experience, by knowing how to operate and, you know, fix these problems on the fly and not dwell on it, right?
Yeah, you definitely need to learn how to overcome. You gotta take that?
Yeah.
Can I just
go ahead? No, but I think that's a good point where I think learning how to overcome and figure out situations is super important because you're gonna have to do that like every day. You know, somebody didn't show up
daily.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
You know, we need this or we need that, and so you know, overcoming challenges. You know, communication, how to properly hire, what to look for in somebody. I mean, these are all things that like there is no manual or like
no, there isn't.
Like, you have to do some due diligence. Okay, so you bought some books, you did some background, you studied, you saw what's going on, and so now you have a food truck. Yeah, you launched it. Like, give us like the first day, the first month, the first 6 months. How was it? Was it more than you expected? Was it what you expected? Was it harder than you expected? Was it
PTSD?
Well, no. I mean, from her from her stance, for sure, because the pressures, the uncertainties of what you're getting into, is going to give you that. But I'm not gonna lie, like it sounds cocky or whatever, but I've been in this food business so long. I knew in my heart that I was gonna not let this fail, not let this overtake me, because I will have hard days. But I've had harder days in this damn restaurant right here. You know what I'm saying? As a kid. Yeah. Like, so what was that challenge to me now, right? I've been through it already, so almost like second nature to me. So I'm capable of kind of overcoming that hardship, right? Like busting your ass off, leaving the house early as hell, coming home late as hell. Yep. Like that kind of was, what I did as a kid and saw as a kid with my parents already. So that gave me the extra fire. Let's get this guy. It gave me the extra fire, to kind of like overcome that.
Well, I mean, I think having that type of confidence because you've already been through the fire only helps.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Julie, how about you as like a partner, a wife? What was that like? Just, helping. I mean, what was that like? Kind of, having the food truck.
Get this guy.
So he's very just on the surface with how things were. The motivation really was the fact that we found out that I was pregnant. I was pregnant with Sydney. That really kicked him in the butt. He was like, okay, I need to do something. I need to stop waiting around for my parents to like believe that I can do it, whatever. I'm gonna show them. That was really that fuel to his flame. And he took it, he rode with it. It was very difficult. As soon as I gave birth, he literally was already gone. Wow. He was there for the first, few hours, changed diapers.
Food Truck Friday, baby. Yes, you can't say no to Food Truck Friday.
Listen, Julie, I totally get that, and I appreciate you guys even saying that because, there are sacrifices short term that people will have to do if they want to get into this endeavor of business ownership, entrepreneurship, that will pay off in the long run, but there is short-term sacrifice. Yeah. It's not always,
reality.
Watches and Lamborghinis and like, hey, right? Like, it's just, like you said, there may be sometimes this, just this idea on the back end of how awesome things are, and things can be awesome. And there's a little more flexibility when you own your own business, when things are established.
There is.
But on the front end, you've got to lay the groundwork, right?
And you can't bend on those rules, You can't.
It would have been easy for him to cancel that event, right? Because, hey, he just had a baby. But instead, he was like, oh, shit, like, she's here now. Like, she's going to need diapers. She's going to need food. Like, this is a life that we're going to have to start sustaining. And he just literally got up and he's like, I got to go. That's it. And, I had to understand.
Business is like your baby. And then this is almost like the symbolism of, hey, you actually have a baby now. Yeah. So you really have to take care of that, like, just like you would take care and prioritize your
feed her, take care of her, the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, to your point, Scott, success doesn't care what you have to go through.
No.
Like it will require, all of you.
Yeah.
To do it, and so I think that's a really good point you guys mentioned. And just that going through that and just figuring stuff out, and so.
No, it wasn't easy. It was tough, man. It was tough. I mean, but it was beautiful though. Like if I look back now and reflect, like. Sheesh, 4 children, like, she was pregnant at, 24, 25 years old?
23. I used to lug Sydney in the red wagon, and then this is the reason why this wagon is so raggedy now, but we still hang on to it. Is for the simple fact that at like 5-6 months old, I will pull her out and I will be taking orders, and she would be right underneath. Yes, and I will have to cover her with her little blanket to keep her from the sun, but she sits there while I was taking orders because we didn't have staff at that time. It was very difficult to even for somebody. So we knew that's what we just had to do.
Yeah, I love
And it
that.
goes along the lines of what you said. You know, you gotta.
Short term. So my mantra is short term sacrifices for long term results.
I love that. I mean, I remember my mom telling me when she was pregnant with my brother, you know, or even myself being 7, 8 months pregnant, helping out my dad in the early days.
Yeah.
You know, mid to late 80s. It's just coming from nothing and now having an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like you have to capitalize.
Man.
Like
Yes.
this is our shot.
Yes.
Feel that.
Yeah. Right.
Right there. I felt that right there,
Yes.
man.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It
And,
is.
and you guys went through it, you know, starting this baby business and growing it and putting your love and energy and thought and focus and you know what? That's how I know that anybody that's succeeded, it's not by accident.
Yeah.
It's like, man, these people, and we don't know
Right.
the struggles they went through, but we know there was struggles.
Yeah, and that's why I respect anybody that's doing the same things we're
agree.
doing.
I agree.
I can never look down on you ever. I never do that anyways, but I can sympathize because I know the life that you're going through, like taking your kids to school and getting to work and getting people's, you know, your employees' livelihoods in
yeah.
order, you know?
From a
Yeah.
food truck, you've had it for a couple of years, you're
Yeah.
established, you're making a name for yourself, you're all over Charlotte, Panthers players
yeah.
are coming, you're getting, I mean, the whole thing, right?
Love
I mean,
it.
people know who you are. Now you're transitioning into actually doing a storefront,
Yeah.
right? Brick and mortar restaurant. What did you learn there?
Oh,
I mean,
man.
the differences between, because, you know, there may be people here that,
Yeah.
you know, want to advance in their career or they want to like pivot and kind of, you know, maybe in the same industry, but maybe
Yeah.
go from business ownership to, you know, or from employee to owning their own business or going into
Right.
consulting or 1099.
Yes.
What are some things that you guys learned from that, you know, that transition?
The funny thing is, you know, coming from the food truck, we were the pioneer for Vietnamese food, essentially on a food truck.
Okay.
So the difficulty was, we've already learned that difficulty really on that food truck was that we had to teach the community how we were serving our food because it's not your traditional Vietnamese food. Now we're doing it like how Chipotle is doing it. We're doing it how it's a more fast casual. You're gonna get that flavor, but it's not the true roots of it, if that makes any sense, because we are Vietnamese, but we're not
Our
from
business
there.
model is changing.
We were born
the
American. You know, we
yeah,
have to Americanize
yeah,
it because it's a symbolism of us, of our parents.
100%,
You know, and that's just really the reality is that when we came here, we had to teach the community once again how to eat our food because not a lot of people, especially in Salisbury, can handle the flavors and the smell that comes with our food sometimes.
I gotcha.
It might be a little pungent
Okay,
and
so
offsetting.
so it sounds like one of the obstacles was not only executing a business, but you're also educating. You're
Right.
educating the
Oh,
populace.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You're educating them about Vietnamese food and the style and the flavors and the seasonings and all of that, right?
So yes, and then funny thing is we actually even taught the health inspector in the county on how to inspect a Asian
kidding.
restaurant because it was the very first time. So they even had to have the regional inspector come down to guide them on how to inspect us as well too because Salisbury has never had a Vietnamese restaurant. There are certain ways for you to be holding your broth or, you know, it's protocols that we have to follow at the end of the day. And they had to learn along the way with us on how to handle us in the
love
community.
Scott, anything that you learned from transition food truck to brick and mortar?
Oh yeah, no, dude, it's a whole different beast. The food truck was difficult as well, but the restaurant's more difficult. No lie, the food truck has
Less overhead.
besides less overhead. You know, if you do it right. I mean, you know, the hard thing is booking all that stuff. But if
Yeah.
you do it right, the food truck can be a very, very successful business.
Gotcha.
Like very.
Yeah.
Because less overhead.
It's a good entry point
Absolutely.
into our industry.
Correct,
Yes.
correct. And but you know what we wanted to do with Salisbury Yummi Banh Mi was we wanted to, you know, showcase what we were doing in Charlotte.
Yep.
You know, top 5 food truck, you know, 5 times in a row, right?
Yep.
Serving the Panthers, like you said.
Yep, yep.
Going places that we never dreamt of going, right? Having these opportunities that we never dreamt of having, to, you know, being on TV and all that, right? So now, you know, it's another beast that you're taking on, and you have to take on the, like, you know, those expectations of yourself, right, and your
yeah.
brand. and and take care of a family, all that. So I mean, it gets harder and harder.
Yeah, sure.
If you don't have the right people in line in the village to help you, and the staff that can help you, that can the vision, understand what's our long-term goals are and our short-term goals are, right? But I mean, no, the restaurant is something I've always wanted to have in my whole life. So I'm so pleased to be able to jump into a restaurant and being next door to mom and dad, come full circle, and in the community that I was raised in, right? The stupid fly, Eddie. We're about to do some Bruce Lee shit. I don't know. But yeah, we can probably move that to the other side. But all that being said, no, it's definitely a journey that I, wouldn't take back. I absolutely wouldn't. Even though it's all the obstacles you had to go through, all the relationships that you had to really hold accountable and kind of bend to make things work. Yeah. I mean, but
do this. Talk a little bit about, you mentioned having the right team. Right?
Yeah.
I think what's the saying? If you wanna go far, go solo. If you wanna go or make an impact, have a team. Like some kind of saying like that. What are some things that you guys learn about building a team, investing in your people, putting the right people? I mean, because I'm sure you've learned that over the last number of years.
Yeah.
Hiring the right people, putting the right management in place. I mean, what are some things about if someone's out there trying to build a team and put a team together? Because at some point you could only do so much by yourself.
Absolutely.
Like you will need to start.
Outsourcing the help.
Outsourcing some stuff.
Yep, delegating.
What are some things you guys have learned about that? About like the actually, finding the right vendors, the right partners, the right employees, to run a successful business. Anything that stands out to you guys about that?
When it comes down to like the employees, the culture of the business really matters.
That's good.
And that comes down to the belief system. It comes down to everything. Comes down to who you have running your business. They have to believe in the culture that you have created in there in order to be able to, in a sense, sail your ship. Because that's what it is, right? We want the ship to be sailing as smoothly as possible, right? Yeah. So how can we do so?
Well,
we lay this foundation for them. We can't be here all the time.
Once you expand, right, you have to delegate. You're gonna have to rely on other people, which is the beauty of a growing business, right? But being hands-on with what you created, you're gonna have to, like Julie was saying, you gotta bring that culture into the game every single day. Like let's say the game is opening your doors, right? And it's showtime. The game, that's the game plan. That's how we have to look at it. You put on this show for people, and it's all out of love, right? The food that you're producing should be coming out of love. The way you're presenting the food and taking orders, it should be coming out of love. And that's kind of what the basis of our business started from. No lie. Yummi, Banh Mi, and Tokyo. Yummi Banh Mi food truck for sure. Because the food truck was like, almost you had to be a carny. You're out there, like, you've been to carnivals, right? And you try to get people to come try these games. It's just the same thing. You got to get people to try this food. So just like Julie was saying, our food was a niche. It wasn't just the run-of-the-mill barbecue down south. People were just like, oh, I know mac and cheese. I'm coming to that truck. It was something we really had to sell.
It was unique.
And it had to be you. So like, I'm sticking my head out that window, talking to people, expressing how much love I have for my food.
I love that.
And it came back tenfold, And that's kind of where I appreciate, the business that I'm in. I mean, food is a common denominator to everybody, right? No matter what creed, what religion, what color, what race.
It all brings us together.
We all got to sit at this table and
food,
eat.
And it is a common denominator.
I love that.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your food. If someone's never eaten Vietnamese food or have come here to Yummi Banh Mi, first off, you got to come by.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about what are some popular dishes.
Oh, absolutely.
What's like a must try at a Vietnamese spot or especially at Yummi Banh Mi?
I mean, everything. Everyone says that. Everything.
Okay.
But no, for the barbecue pork that we put out, like, we're Southerners. We love barbecue. Vietnamese people do too, but we don't call it barbecue pork, chopped barbecue pork. Anything that's grilled is going to be barbecue anyways. In your language, my language, whatever language. So our Vietnamese barbecue pork is a rendition of almost like barbecue. It's cooked, it's grilled, all on a open fire.
Yeah.
So we marinate in our Vietnamese flavors, which is nước mắm, sugar, honey, stuff like that. And nước mắm is like the umami of all Asian cooking.
Okay.
AKA
So,
fish sauce.
so that's why Julie said earlier about the smells, right? Ethnic food does have different smells. Any ethnic restaurant you walk into, if you're not familiar with it, you're not gonna, it's gonna hit you
Well, it
like,
makes
immediately.
sense. But whether it's Indian, Asian,
Yeah,
Greek,
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
1000%.
There's unique
1000%.
stuff.
And being a very small space, like we have, it's like the food,
But, yeah.
everything's exposed, the kitchen's exposed.
It's open kitchen,
So
but
you're
our
gonna
Vietnamese
smell
barbecue
the
pork
flavors.
is gonna be the banger, right?
Okay.
It's
So go-to is that.
absolutely
Yes.
on the banh mi sandwich, on a baguette that's lightly crispy, right? All the fresh veggies inside. It's
Your
just
pickling,
gonna be
and then your cilantro. You
handheld,
can't forget
easy
the
peasy.
cilantro.
Drive and eat at the same time, right? That's what
I
you're gonna
mean,
do.
we don't
Right.
condone that.
I mean, they do it in Vietnam. They ride these scooters around and eat and eat banh mi's.
You're right, you're
you know.
True, yeah.
But then our Vietnamese pho is our one of our proud staples. It's a beef broth that's it's one of the the national dishes of Vietnam.
Okay.
We're a French colonized country, so a lot of our food and a lot of our culture is actually a play of French culture.
Okay.
Just like banh mi is the baguette. Why do we
Okay.
use a French baguette? Because the French
It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
And
I didn't think about that actually.
Right, exactly. And then the pho is a French rendition of pot de pho, which was a beef stew that they made. But they threw away all the bones and all the nasty bits from the cow or whatever.
Okay.
Vietnamese people took it and made it into a broth.
Gotcha.
That's like this light broth that everyone loves nowadays, right? Now
Gotcha, okay.
that's kind of like the history of where pho came from. And every family does it their own way.
Yeah,
So
sure.
the beautiful thing about our broth is it brings our family come whole circle, right? Like my mother's tapping, giving us insight, giving us tips. My dad, my stepdad, my wife, myself, Google, right?
Everything, yeah.
And then
No,
our
100%.
experiences,
But I think what just
putting
really
it into
made it-
into this one broth.
Yeah, what made it just a little bit more special to us is really that all of his parents had a little
Yeah.
bit of
Input
Yes.
and
his real dad, his stepdad, his mom.
and we put it all
Yeah.
into that broth, so it makes
They
that unique
bickered,
to
but
us.
we pick pieces and we're like,
Yeah.
we can make this work. We see where all of their vision, like
Mm-hmm.
let's pick it, and then that's where him and I come in. Was that we picked out of the three of them to make this recipe, and I mean it's just a little near and dear to us.
I was gonna say it's made with love.
Oh,
yeah.
When you
Real love.
when you've assembled
Yes.
the whole family of
Yeah,
guys
for
to
real.
put for everybody. I
No,
love that.
for real.
I love that.
And
You gotta
that's-
pay homage to the Tang name, pay homage to the person that raised him,
yeah.
which
I
is
love that.
stepfather, and pay homage to his mother. You know,
love
that's just really it. And our
always.
culture is always paying homage to our elders, and that's why the pho is just a little near and dear to our
I
heart.
love that. I love that. Okay, let's wrap up by doing this.
Mm-hmm.
One piece of advice from each of you guys what's one piece of advice that you love to give to somebody, whether it's somebody that wants to advance in their career, get into management, get into leadership, build a business with a partner, build a business with a family.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have like the ultimate dynamic, I feel
Yeah.
like. But what are some things that you would give to somebody, just a little piece of advice to help them out in their journey?
You want to go first?
No,
What
go
you
ahead.
thinking? I mean, I'm gonna keep it simple. Put your head down and get to work.
So just work.
That's if you want to go to simplicity, right? That's kind of
Listen.
the main driving force
Listen,
of what you're supposed to be
100
doing.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
that is the common denominator.
Yeah.
You can have ideas.
Yeah.
And you can have hopes and wishes.
Yeah.
But until you actually get to work.
Yeah.
And learn a new skill set and learn how to
Yes.
code.
Yes.
And shadow somebody
Absolutely.
or be an apprentice.
Yeah.
or-
All those.
Like nothing else matters unless you actually, right?
Right, that's the
Correct.
first step.
Yes,
So
yes.
that first step is going to take you into those other steps and those other avenues that we were talking about. And then you have to have the knowledge, right, and the competency to pivot and see what's going to work with you and what doesn't work with you. And someone's got to pay the light bill. So that's kind of like, I got to get to work, and that's it. I got to get to the grind.
I agree.
Put myself through this while being young. Right, so we are young, and that's the beautiful thing of it. I mean, we did start young, and I saw this restaurant business at a young age, and I lived it at a young age. So, it kind of, already propelled me into what my purpose was, especially after that motorcycle accident. I was like, no bullshit. Stop bullshitting around, hanging around with, wasting time.
I love that.
Let's go get it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Julie, any thoughts on that? Anything from a spouse, from a wife, to support the vision, the goal for the family? Anything that you've just...
I mean, I just really hold my mantra is short-term sacrifices for long-term results, and it will just lead in all aspects of life, in your personal life, in business, is that you're gonna have to know when to put that ego aside and be like, okay, I'm gonna have to pull back just a little bit, all right? And pulling back is okay, does not mean that I failed. It just means that now I just kind of need to redirect myself or redirect my partner in order for us to get to that point that he can be self-sufficient in his business, that it would no longer rely on me. And then I can step out and I can do what I need to do. But right now I know my time is here. My time is needed to be here with the family business, and to continue to be able to guide the younger generation that we have as well too, because it's not just him and I that is getting passed down to, it's also getting passed down to his nephew. So we're guiding him in a sense, but he is a newer generation, so they have a very weird way of thinking, and we're trying to work through that weird way. We're in that realm of like, we're old school and new school. That's the good thing about where we're at. We're taught to work really hard. Like you're not going to get anywhere unless you put in the work.
Yes.
And then also we have social media. We have the internet. We have everything at our hands too, and we know how to utilize it. But this younger generation just knows how to utilize it to be distracted.
Yeah.
So if you can put your phone down and just really look at your goals and sacrifice just for 3 to 5 years, you will get yourself to where you see these guys on social media.
So yes, I mean, she used the word sacrifice. Like you really do. You gotta put your head down and go to work. You put those two together.
And it's not sacrifice for nothing. It's taking a couple steps back to take a leap forward.
Yes.
It's not just sacrifice like, oh, my life is gonna suck now for the next 50. No, it's like there's temporary, and it is 3 to 5 years. It will take some time. Be patient.
Yeah.
Like money's not gonna start shooting out of your hard drive immediately. Like just because you.
I wish. I wish. Give me that. Yeah.
It takes effort, and so I love that. I mean, these are really sound principles you're gonna talk about. Like this is, after doing 50 plus episodes of this, like there's some basic things, and what you guys are saying like nails it.
Yeah.
So I think it's tremendous advice for anybody wanting to succeed as a family in any endeavor, to be quite honest with you. So anyway, this is awesome. I appreciate you guys. This was awesome.
Yes.
Super pumped. Season 3, episode 5 of the Paper Trails podcast. We're super pumped. Follow these guys. Yummi, Banh Me, anywhere they're at. Come by if you're ever in town. If going up 85 or down 85. Get off the exit. They're just a mile off the exit. Not even.
Quarter mile.
So, anyway, like, subscribe, follow, and love your support. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Subscribe.
The restaurants you love, the food you crave, and the people that make it all happen. We tell their stories on the Paper Trails podcast with Albemarle Paper Supply.